Okay, let's call the meeting to order. And roll call, Vice Chair, Commissioner Francisco.
Here.
Commissioner Ornat is not. Do we vote on that now?
Maybe right after roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Appio.
Here.
Commissioner Courtney.
Here.
Commissioner May Folden.
Here.
Commissioner Peterson.
Here.
Excellent. Commissioner Onat is not here this evening.
I move to excuse Commissioner Onat since he's a second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, we'll go to public comments.
All right. Welcome, Sam. Did you want to make public comment tonight?
Sam is running for city council.
And
Sam is muted.
Yes, Sam is muted. Oh, okay.
all right, and then Lori, welcome.
Hello.
Would you like to speak during this time?
Yes. Hello. My name is Lori Stewart, and I'm with the Mukilteo Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission. I am new. I started in February of this year, so I have decided that one of the things that I would like to do is to go to all of the surrounding cities' commission meetings and just ask a few questions to see how your commission works and kind of get input to see if I can bring that into our commission and help us function a little bit better, be more beneficial to the community, and just be better at what I'm doing. I signed up for this, so I want to do the best that I can do. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'll just start by asking a few questions. Whoever wants to answer, feel free. If you don't feel like answering, that's great too. I wanted to first ask if you guys have an orientation, and if you do have an orientation when you were first brought on, did it help? And if you don't, do you think that it would help when you had started? Some sort of what are we doing here and how the process works? Anybody?
We did have some city orientation where we learned about how to handle documents and how the city works to a certain extent and that kind of thing. But for me, it was great because I've never been involved in any city stuff. I don't remember. We have one that was specific to the commission.
No, I didn't have an orientation for that. I did on my own visit with commissioners and the chair, just to get an idea of what it was up to and how good a fit it would have been for me. And so, yeah, I did that on my own. Met with a couple of council members.
You felt compelled enough, you're like, I want to be a part of this.
Yes.
You're here right now,
Yes.
so that is the answer. Anybody else?
I would say that we didn't have a specific orientation per se, but and I think part of that is because this thing sort of moves and glides, right? You know what I mean? So it's hard to say that you come in on 1 month. It's hard to say, well, this is what we do, because what we're doing now could be completely different in 3 months. You know what I mean? So I think an orientation would be the very basics of how we go about things, right? Certain things that are, if you want something to be heard or done, this is how you do it, that kind of thing. But for the most part, I don't know if there'd be that much information. Like Scott said, we sort of talked to some people, showed up, and really realized, hey, there's a lot to learn here, but kind of watching how everybody discusses everything and then how things are done, sort of meeting by meeting. that you learn a lot, you know, that way. So not, I don't know that it would help that much just because I don't know how much information we can be given on that first month.
We also, it seems like in the 2 years that, well, the three of us have been here, it's different now than it was 2 years ago when we started. I mean, it's definitely evolved over time. And part of that is because Carolyn, were you new then or?
2023.
Yeah, same time we came in. And so Carolyn's our staff advisor, and so she liaison, and she has a lot of amazing ideas, and so that's been brought into it. And
So in July, typically we give the presentation that I emailed to you, which is what Teresa said, more of an overview of the city and then the basics about what the commission does, what the council adopted in the code is the purpose for the commission. And then generally like what the chair and the vice chair do, Open Public Meetings Act overview and public records. And then annually we do a work plan, which I actually just handed to our new commissioners tonight. And we report out to council on the progress that the commission made. So I would say the work plan would be more closely aligned with like what the commission's up to. So
Okay.
for me, that kind of
more important than, or the most useful component that I've had being a commissioner, because I think I've been here longest, is connecting with individuals outside of the meetings and building relationships as people, and kind of better understanding where each other are coming from, and that informs the work that we do in the meetings. It's developing those relationships, and I think that counts not just for fellow commissioners, but also with the community.
See, and that's another kind of question that I had, because I feel like the short time that I've been with our commission, I feel like that is really the goal, is to just build relationships with our community so that they feel like I can go to a city council meeting, I could go to a DEI meeting, I could go, just because I know for a lot of people, I don't think they even know any of this goes on or exists, happens, anything. So I'm one of those people, I'm just out. You should go to the city, you should go.
Are you gonna go through the whole?
I'm not gonna go through, no.
Okay.
No, because I know I have so many
Yes.
questions. I have so many, so that's why when you said that, I thought that it intertwines with another question that I had. I would like to know, for those of you who have been doing this for a while, what would you say the biggest obstacles that you have to being effective or feeling necessary in the city is? Like, what are the biggest hurdles that you feel kind of prevent you from doing what you want to do?
I think with the current climate, it's been difficult to access some communities because there's a fear of attending events we have and that kind of a thing. But it's not an obstacle from the standpoint of being able to try to actively have community conversations with them or events that are beneficial. It's just people are concerned.
Understandable.
The trust issue. Yeah.
And I was wondering if you guys have a budget, or do you hold events, or do you guys just table at events or attend, things that the city puts on and just be involved? Or do you guys put together events for the community to be involved in, or ask for participation from the community yourselves? So the budget, and then do you guys put together?
All of the above.
All of the above?
Yes, so we partner at events that other people are holding to support them or table at. We invite people in, and then we also attend when the city is hosting or having something.
Okay.
But no, we don't have a budget.
we have a budget.
Oh, we do have a budget.
Yes.
Oh.
We don't have a budget that's necessarily controlling who it is.
Yeah, we don't control the budget.
We don't look at nonprofit, we don't look at statements in the same way that you would if you were part of like a PTA. The city manages the budget, and then, so we talk about, we'd like to do this, and then what city regulations fall into finance stuff. So the city helps us take care of that.
Okay,
But before the budget process, we had a couple of discussions as a commission about like, what are the things that you want to do over the next 2 years? And then I would help them develop a cost estimate for what that would be.
Okay.
And so we have a few $1,000s, not a lot of money, but a few $1,000s for training and to do events. And then we're collaborating with our community events person, who also is getting sponsorships and so forth to help support some of our bigger events.
Okay.
We try to be as very pleased as possible so people know that we are here and people are a lot more aware because we do that.
Right. Do you guys have any kind of handouts, flyers, anything that you hand out if you table at an event? Do you do that, or do you just have conversations and welcome people? Swag bag, okay,
Yeah.
that's, okay.
Which are great, by the way.
Oh, all right.
Shopping bags.
Shopping
Cans
bags.
or something, they just.
Really?
Yeah, fridge
Crayons.
magnets. Crayons.
Does anything specifically state that it's from the diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
The fridge
Alright.
magnets, the crayons,
Everything, you were kidding, it's like my mother's purse, okay. And
bags.
the last one that I really want to ask is if we in Mukilteo were to put together or could come up with something like a once or twice a year get together and welcome all the surrounding cities diversity, equity, and inclusion commissions to just talk, learn, just chat, would you guys be interested in doing?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Everyone went so far. Everybody, it's a great idea. So.
We
Okay.
benefit a lot from collaboration with Linwood's DEI, has been here much longer than we have.
Oh.
And, this DEI is maybe, what, 5 years old?
Yeah.
Oh, almost 5?
Yeah.
And like you heard, 3 of us are only in 2 years, so he's been here a little longer. So, to have Linwood people helping us and other cities, so yes, absolutely, we'd be happy to do it.
Also partner with the school district. So Edmonds School District covers 5 cities, municipalities, and then incorporated Snohomish County. So that is a really important relationship that we've developed with, is the working with the school districts for their language list and information. So, and the parent. And I have a personal connection to Edmonds School District PTSA Council, and you have some amazing PTA parents or parents leaders in Mukilteo School District, so we can connect about those.
Oh, I would like that. Yeah, I got to know the public relations lady. I'm gonna forget her name right now, but I guess she's moving on to bigger and better things. So now I have to get to know the new person that's coming in.
So Lori, we have a lot of.
Yeah, I was gonna
things on
say
the
that
agenda,
was it.
but,
That's all. I will stop there.
Sorry.
I could say her and take over the head.
But I would do encourage everyone, if you have time to respond to the questions that Lori sent out
Yes.
that we haven't discussed tonight, and that would be awesome.
Okay, thank you so much. And I can't stay for the whole meeting. I do have another engagement, but I'm going to listen in for a little while,
bet.
so you see me scoot out, that's why.
And
But
Lori,
I really appreciate.
and you have
Yeah.
some commissioners coming Friday for the parade, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Oh, good.
it's
Yay.
critical.
Yes, I'm
Yay.
excited.
Thank you for coming, really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we're seeking to approve the minutes from last month.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes from July.
Moved and seconded.
Wait.
Oh, June, sorry.
June,
Sorry.
yes, June.
I'm not on drugs.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from June.
I'm sorry, the first was Terrace, and who was the second?
Anita,
Oh, thank you.
those in favor? Against? Motion carries. All right. And introductions to our 2 newest members. Thank you very much for joining us. Priya and Keo. I know Keo from being on CPAG. And So thank you for jumping over to this opportunity.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a rising senior at Mountlake Terrace High School currently. I plan to study architecture in college, and I also plan to continue on in music, since I'm hoping that's gonna help pay for college. I also do just in general really enjoy it. I've been playing music since I was as young as I possibly could be. My grandmother had me playing piano when I was 4 or 5, I think. And then when I was about 7, I moved on to violin, which I never really enjoyed, but I played that for about 2 years. And then in 5th grade, I started on trumpet and band. And since then, I've just been jumping around to all the different brass instruments. So I did trumpet, and then I did euphonium for about a year. And then I got onto my current main instrument, tuba. I've been playing that since about the end of 7th grade. But in my own time, I've also been learning other brass instruments, like I can play trombone, and I know a little bit of French horn. I'm not great at it, it's kind of gross, but I can't play it if I really want to. But yeah, I'm very excited to be on this board. Just like I'm excited to be on CPAG, but now I feel a bit more confident about being here since I have done a board at least similar to this before.
Yes.
CPAG is it was a planning board from 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's planning for the next 20 years for the city. So it worked in conjunction with the planning committee at the city level.
And we just went over policies and came up with our own ideas for things, our own changes, and gave suggestions to higher boards, and then they deal with that. And it was more so of a community engagement thing. So, yeah.
That's great. And Frida.
Yes, hi everyone, I'm Frida, thanks for having me. I am, born and raised in Edmonds, Washington, been living here for the past 12 years, I think. So it's been really cool to see the growth of Mountlake Terrace, because let me tell you, this is so different than what it was back in the day. So it's really exciting to be a part of this community. My career is that of an American Sign Language interpreter. That's what I went to school for, and what I have been doing mostly throughout my career, but I've recently transitioned. And I work at Amazon. I was an interpreter there, and now I'm in the vocational rehabilitation space, so helping employees get back to work, whether they're out for mental health or physical health issues, and getting them back with accessibility and accommodations that they may need. So that's the bread and butter of my job, and also, when I was doing sign language interpreting, I stood up our DEIC program there with the organization that I worked in. So that was really exciting to be a part of. And now to do it in a city, I'm really excited. I have no city experience whatsoever, so I'm really looking forward to learning a lot from all of you. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hey, thank
you. Want
you.
to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, let's go through a round. So I've lived here since I moved in 91. I've been in that same house near the QFC for 34 years. So I'm a longtime resident. So I have seen it grow and went from provincial to really upbeat, and the light rail coming in, really excited about that. My background is I ran a nonprofit in Seattle for 22 years. And now I own, with my wife, a photography company. Doing that for the last 20 some odd years. So,
I moved to Mountlake Terrace in 2022, and I have lived in Snohomish for 40 years, but went to Roosevelt High School in Seattle, so I'm a little closer to my place. I'm a retired RN. When I moved here, I just thought, when I got the city flyer that had the information about the applications, I thought, you know, this is my new city, I want to see what's happening. I knew there were a lot of changes going on, and so I applied, and I'd never done anything like that. And I just, we have amazing people on this commission. I mean, I just enjoy everybody a lot, and it's been great to be involved in the city events and meet people in different, in their places, and see how they're managing in their own terrace. But even in the 3 years I've been here, things have changed a lot. I mean, the city is really proactive about getting more events going on, and we're really well supported here. And people come up to us at tabling events and say, wow, thanks for what you're doing, and is there a way I can help? And that's something we're gonna be working on, is maybe trying to figure out how to get some more volunteers involved, but yeah, it's been a great experience for me.
I've been here since 2003. My daughter was 9 months old, and my son wasn't even born yet, and now both are in college, and my daughter's getting her master's. But I tell jokes for a living. I've been a stand-up comedian for about 34 years.
Are you serious or?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And like you, when I came in, I had no idea how any city processes work, and 2 years later, I barely have any now. You know, I learned a lot, but still there's a ton of stuff. But I totally know I walked in there, I was just, that first meeting, I felt like I was way over my head. But so I guess I've been 2 years, right? And
Yeah.
it's been an amazing experience. Like you said, we really have a lot of support. We also have amazing liaison officers, so that this voice is heard very well, and not just from those region it's and so it has been a great experience. Yeah, so
And if you haven't seen Kara do this thing, every year he hosts a comedy fundraiser for the school district.
Oh.
That's at the Performance Center, and it's amazing.
For
how many years?
Okay.
18.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just an adult now.
Yeah. No. My daughter was in kindergarten at Terrace Park.
Okay, my son goes there.
Yeah, when we first did it,
Yeah.
in kindergarten,
Wow.
we were trying to finish the playground there. Because it used to be just this one thing, and that was back when it was K-8, and then this one little plaque structure. For
Yeah.
all these kids. It was silly. And so we were just trying to finish the thing. So that's how it started. It grew. I think we had 200 people the first year, and this year, you know, it's at ECA, 2 shows almost sold out. So we had about 1,300 some people. So it's grown a lot.
Wow, yeah, that's really cool.
So I'm Anita. I have a kiddo that is at Terrace High School. She's a rising sophomore this year. And she did ASL all of her 9th grade year, and she loves it. So we went to a deaf event in Seattle for one of her school assignments. And so she had to interpret, she had to translate for me, tell me what they were saying and what we needed, and introduce herself. So it was really great. I volunteer for a living, so I volunteer with the Edmonds PTA Councils. I was at Terrace Park when we had the show there and for comedy night, and then we transitioned to being at the Edmonds School District level, so the parent leadership for across all 36 buildings in the district. I serve in the League of Women Voters. I've been doing Girl Scouts for 20 years. We've lived in Terrace since 2004. So we've been here for 21 years. Yeah, oh, and I do the Red Cross. Yes, I do. I volunteer Red Cross for instructing first aid CPR, and then also home fires and disaster training. So we are in a burn ban. No recreational fires or home cooking outside, please.
Yeah.
Until the end time.
Right.
Unless they renew them.
I'm sure everybody is.
I did those pictures. Sleep on the couch, but I don't know your job. You get that. Come and go weird hours.
And I do want to reiterate that the show, the fundraiser that you're talking about, for me, has been a big part of it growing, even of all the 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's been a big part of the growth of the event.
And you like.
Councilmember Murray.
Sure, so I'm not technically part of the commission, I'm one of our council members, I have served in that role since the beginning of 2020. I've been here in Terrace, so 8, I grew up in the area. I have 2 kiddos, I've got one in Terrace Park and one who's riding freshman at Mountlake Terrace, so that's exciting, for her, I think. Not sure that I feel that way. It is, no, the school's great, I think it's just like, that baby's going to high school. It makes me feel, well, it makes me feel old, so it makes me feel, so. But I love being the liaison with this commission. I have been here, this is my 3rd year serving as the liaison. We do an annual selection process for council members. We kind of go round robin and select where we will represent the council to, and so I've done that on our meeting for the last couple of years. And so really my job in this space is to bring the commission information about what's going on at the council, and then also to take that information to the council on behalf of the commission. The commission also does have convey their own, they do an annual update to the council, and they're often at council meetings when we have proclamations that are related to their work, but it's kind of my job to serve as a go-between bodies and ensure that everybody is, kind of keeps up to date on what's going on. And I love that and love this group. They're doing a really good group, so excited to have you both here.
And I'm Carolyn, I'm your staff liaison, I'm here to serve you.
And she's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how we would do any of this without her, so.
Yeah, okay, we're moving on to election. And so we're gonna start with nominations first.
Yeah, and I just put that slide in there again, just to remind people what the chair does. Did you go through this last meeting? For the new folks, just a reminder, the chair in these boards and commissions has the role of facilitating the meeting, keeping the meeting on track, making sure that we do the proper motion, second voting mechanism, recognizing people speaking around the table so everyone has a chance to have their voice heard, responding to inquiries about the process and deciding on questions of order. And then the vice chair is to serve in the absence of the chair when they're out, and then assisting the chair in any of those duties, keeping track of time or making sure we follow the process. So, good.
Okay, I'm calling for nominations.
Nominate Sal to be chair.
Are there any other
nominations?
I can do this part because you'd be.
Okay, good.
No other nominations for chair? Scott, do you accept the nomination?
Sure.
Okay. I will take a motion.
I move that we elect Scott as our ongoing chairperson for this next year.
Second. And all in favor? Okay. It's approved unanimously. Congratulations, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, nominations for vice chair.
Yeah. I don't need to do that. Vice chair.
I second.
Are there any other nominees?
I nominate Teresa.
I'll second that.
Teresa Courtney.
Benita and Teresa, are you accepting of your nominations?
Sure.
I'll pass.
Any other nominations?
Yeah.
All right, can I have a motion?
I move that we have Teresa be our vice chair.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Great, nice to see you.
All right, moving on to city council report.
All right, so no meeting tomorrow, so tomorrow's council meeting is canceled. We've got a number of folks who are headed to our quarterly Snohomish County Cities and Towns meeting up in Everett. This time around, we're talking about emergency responses, so that's like a timely important one. So excited to go with the opportunity to network and learn there, but so no council meeting tomorrow, so. Skipping ahead, looking ahead to July 24th, got an update. So I will say all TBD based on the current schedule, but some of these are further out given we don't have another DEIC commission meeting for next month. But we're doing an update on our financial forecast, which we talked a little bit about. That budget has real impact on what we do as a city, and so I think it's important that folks are paying attention as we go through that process. We are starting appointed a financial sustainability task force, so kind of similar to a comprehensive planning group where we're engaging with the community to help better understand and work with them.
Kermit's on that, is it? Is Kermit on that?
Correct.
Kermit?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I was gonna say, so you guys will have updates on that, which is great. Because I think, they're gonna be really important work to look at our finances and help us look at revenue and expenditures and figure out a path forward, make some recommendations on our path forward. Other stuff that stood out that might be interesting to folks, it's a 5 Thursday month, so again, they're meeting on the 31st. I think that's always helpful to try to reiterate to folks as much as possible, because I think we've gotten to this place where we're talking about council meetings every Thursday. Yes, and if there's 5 Thursdays in a month, we don't have one on the 5th Thursday. So always good to check the schedule. As we move ahead to August, we do have a public hearing coming up, which always, I think trying to ensure that people know that there's opportunities to kind of speak on things is helpful. We're going to be voting on an ordinance adopting our franchise agreement with Sound Energy. So awareness there. We're also getting scheduled a presentation on our community engagement plan. And so I think that's probably an interesting thing that folks here may be interested in, should be interested in. So that is again at our August 7th meeting. Looking at even a little bit further, the 14th of August, we have a presentation on our draft housing action plan, which again, I think is an area where, there's been lots of community interest in housing and housing affordability. And so that is a step that we are taking to improve the city's work in that space. So that might be interesting. And that's the 14th of August. I'm also going to do an Open Public Meetings Act, Public Records Act refresher training. So that'll be a big, if anybody is interested in sitting through that again for a refresher, we're going to do that, which I think will be great. I think that's big stuff coming up. I think in terms of, I think you guys already talked about the parade and other things coming up. The council was just invited. I haven't had a chance to follow up on this, but we're invited to take a tour of the Linwood West Center. I don't know if anybody here has gone. They've invited the city to a couple of events in recent years, but they're doing a lot of engagement work. I'm not sure if there's a capacity limit on that, but if folks are interested, I'm happy to follow up. I don't think we've extended that invitation to this commission, but I can absolutely see it. So I'm happy. If there's any interest, okay. Let me see if we can get. Let me check if they have capacity, and if they do, we'll forward that on.
Is that for their fashion show?
No, it's a tour.
Oh, it's a tour.
Yeah,
that's fine.
so it's just scheduled for half an hour. It is during the day. It's Wednesday the 30th from 2 to 2:30 in Linwood. So that may or may not work with people's schedules, but maybe a good opportunity for those that do to just make connections and learn a little bit more about what they're doing in their space. But yeah, they do have an event coming up as well. Friday.
Yeah, I think it's this weekend. I didn't look at it. Yeah.
And the only other thing that I had on my list that I wanted to make sure to kind of call out, because we don't need the for it as national night out. I think that's a really good opportunity for the community to connect with city staff, particularly our police force, and so I think getting an opportunity there to ensure that folks know that's something to invite them. And so that is Tuesday, August 5th from 5:30 to 8:30. That's just at that's all I
You can have a third act.
We'll talk about it today.
have.
That's true. Not much in the reading.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Well, the next item was to answer the questions for Lori, so just a reminder.
We're moving on to the recap. So I had a chance, or we had an opportunity, three of us had an opportunity to meet with the police chief and Commander King in regard to the implementation of the new flock surveillance system. And you guys can chime in at any point, but that's what this is. This will give you all the information about the policy, and important to go second page definitions. Because they will tend to use some of the language in the rest of the descriptions. Then they will cover authorized purposes and collection and things like that. So we went in with a lot of questions and issues about flock. And they were able to answer those questions to our satisfaction. So we felt good about the interaction. System's not installed yet. It will be in a couple of months. We asked if we could be a part of the, if we could meet again to go over what they're finding immediately upon setup, and if we could set up a schedule to meet with them, and they were open for that as well.
Yes, so just high level what that literally looks like and kind of where those are. Can I ask that now or should
I don't think we know exactly where the cameras are gonna be. I don't think they're gonna publish that, but basically it takes still shots of license plate numbers, doesn't take pictures of people. And the purpose is, so say for instance, if there's a report of a stolen car, then they can look on the system and see if they've seen the stolen car, or if there's an Amber Alert, those kind of things. But another page that's really important to look at here, because we asked a lot of questions about this, is the third page, where it says restrictions on collection of flock camera data and use of camera systems. You know, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just like one guy in the force that would be doing all of it. There's 3 different officers that are gonna be assigned, they're gonna be double checked. There has to be authorization to access it. And so we felt pretty good about what they told us about how much double checking there's gonna be in terms of how it's being used. And I remember the chief saying they've never been in contact with ICE, and if the federal government wants to access it, didn't he say they would just shut it down?
Yeah,
He said something like that. So that gave us some reassurance. I mean, I think people still have a low trust level for stuff like that. But we also were very much encouraged to come back and ask more questions and check and see what was going on. So, yeah.
So in that regard,
Did you have a question, Keely?
Just on that point of people are a little more cautious of things like this. I was just reading the first couple of points, and it's talking about how the flock safety cameras won't be used. I was wondering if you knew how they were gonna be enforcing things, like not using it for non-work related purposes or immigration enforcement.
anytime somebody is in the system, it's recorded.
Okay.
So you can't just access it without going through a process. And so anybody my understanding is anybody that accesses it, there will be information in the system showing that they access it.
Okay.
And why they access it. You can't just access it, it has to be accessed for a reason, isn't that what you?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you said you have to access it, according to a case number as well.
Yes,
So
there's always a case.
you can't just go right
number.
And there's like a process for going through
Yes.
an approval process?
There's an approval process which currently is covered in this data sharing, which also this has to do with other municipalities can say, hey, we have a lost child and we wanna know if we can find out through your flock system. But they have to abide by what's on this, this shared agreement. And so it did feel like they had a lot of ways to look back and access who's been on the system, what they've been using it for, because there's all kinds of reasons how it could be abused by certain individuals to get money information. So I don't think any of these things are perfect, and I'm really glad that they encouraged us to come back, because that felt like they weren't hiding something, but you know what, we'll just ask more questions.
And also to what you're saying, so what they told us is that there is an interval audit of everything that's, that's time. He didn't say how frequently, but there's also randoms in between there, so they can they will go and just randomly and see what's been done in that system. So which I'm kind of surprised about, but it's good to hear that, because if you know it's monthly and you're trying to do something at this time or right after the audit, there's also random audits that will be in there around the end of those. So they're trying to put as many checks, and also what we just talked about here about the agreement that if anything's supposed to violate, they can just cut their access off completely. And we asked, and they said they're willing to do that. They have no problem. Just if they sense anything beyond what they're agreeing to here, they can just cut their absolutely.
Or if they find out anybody's accessing the system outside of the rules, their access will be cut off, or there might be disciplinary action or whatever. So, I mean, it doesn't sound like they're taking it lightly. It sounds like it doesn't sound like they're taking people's concerns lightly, but this kind of a thing is never, there's some level of discomfort around it in there.
I mean, I do think it could be very useful system. I'm worried about something like this
Absolutely.
so easily turning into something
Yes.
like Big Brother constant surveillance.
Yeah, and this is not a video surveillance thing, it's still photos and of the very back of the car. So they can't even see, I mean, the image they showed us, you couldn't even see the people in the car or how many people were in the car or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, we live in sort of times when we have to question stuff like that. So.
And I would say it's not every answer is 100% what you want it to be. I will say they answered everything. I didn't feel like there was a sense, they didn't run from any question. They really straight up answered, even if it may be the perfect answer. They were willing to tell us what we were trying to find out about every specific thing. I thought that was impressive. And then as Scott will go into in the future how we were involved, they were really open to that as well.
I think the fact that they didn't get perfect answers all the time is a little nice too, to see that they're being fully transparent.
I completely agree, because people at this table know that I went in there really ready to go, but they were.
We all had a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not, we just kept firing them, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. The fact that not every answer was perfect meant that they weren't trying to dance. They were saying, here's what we're going to do for this. And there were a couple things that they even admitted, we will have to watch each other. But nobody has, the three people who are sort of involved, nobody has more power than the other, no one has great sort of, there's a check here, a check there, and however I would like it to be more than whatever, at least the answer they told us, the answer to each question, I thought was more than I thought.
Are these prevalent in other cities?
Yes.
To us?
Yeah, Glenwood,
Everett.
Everett, who else has them?
Well, there
Does
is
Edmonds have it?
like 5,000 other cities.
Oh,
So this agreement is an agreement that we'll have with 1,000 of them. And throughout Washington and all that, because if you can imagine somebody perpetrating a crime in Eastern Washington and leaving that area, they're going to want to access cameras on the way out.
Right.
Well, as a matter of fact, one of the examples we talked about was the guy who murdered the 3 kids, or the 4 students at University of Idaho.
Yeah.
And he was a student at Washington State University, and that was one way they tracked him to Pennsylvania.
Oh.
Flock cameras were used for that, because they knew his car.
Mm-hmm.
They knew what the car was, the license plate. So that was an example that they gave that we all knew about. So yeah.
There's a lot of good news about how these camera works. That's not what we went in there with. We didn't go in there thinking, wow, this is a great thing and all that. We went in there thinking,
We're gonna figure this out.
we're gonna get,
Advice doesn't seem that great, just knowing everything, but it does seem like it can be very helpful.
Well, and it did sound like that they wanted to review things, do these audits so that if they need to modify something, they can modify it.
I like that.
Yeah, so we just have to see what happens. That's why we'll keep going back.
So it's Chief Cop and Commander King.
Yeah.
Because then there's a third person involved in the police department.
I don't know, is Commander King is gonna be one of the 3
I
people?
don't think Chief Cod is one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
Chief
there'll
Cop?
be 2 other people.
Yeah, Commander King is gonna be one of the
Okay.
people.
Yeah.
And then 2 other.
And then
Yeah, he might have mentioned who they were, but I
the
don't.
meeting was
Yeah.
with Chief Cop and Commander King.
Yes, yes.
And I'd also like to say that, so this agreement, Brian Pitt mentioned that there are some cities that don't have this. And he did say that most of these around us have an agreement that whoever uses the system has to agree to. But he said there are cities, like he mentioned that there are cities that don't have an agreement. So we kind of wonder, how does that affect us? If somebody can, if anybody can go and access their system without any kind of agreement to it. And he said they won't touch our system, no matter who gets into there, they won't touch anything we have without this agreement.
Well, the people who wanna use our system to get information from outside have to do this agreement.
Yeah, and not everybody can do that. So only certain people in other departments can access that information. And everybody has a signature. So whenever they access, they'll know who it is. And it can only be done under the auspices of, here's that list
Case
in
number
here.
and
Locating missing children, elderly individuals. This is on page 3. So you look at authorized purchases or authorized purposes and collection. Those are the only reasons you can get into the system. So that'll allow them access into our system to find the perpetrator that might have gone through our city. So we will approve that. And then they'll do the audit, which is on second to the last page. It starts there. And that's what the audit consists of. And the audit is done periodically. I don't know how often. I'd say like every other month or something like that.
Turning that,
Yeah.
whether it's monthly or every 3 weeks, or they didn't quite turn that.
But they did say there would be random audits.
There would be random as well as the schedule audits.
I think importantly, one of the things that we mentioned was the possibility of regular review and oversight. And that we were ready, I think, we'd have to vote on it ourselves, but we would be willing and ready to provide that service as a commission. And I would like to suggest that we put together a subcommittee made up of members from this group to do that. We're a known quantity. I think, city council knows us, and we're
The police
capable.
knows.
Yeah, we possess broad perspectives, and this can be formed immediately. And because we have these meetings, our findings can be made public right away. People can attend the meetings and actually find out what we found when going to the police for one of those audits. We'll have to put together a checklist, a performance measure, or something to go in there with and check that out, bring that here so we can easily summarize what we experienced. I'd suggest that.
They did seem open to some form of that.
Yeah.
They seem like they had no problem with meeting with us on some level.
Yeah.
I didn't catch a lot of pushback on that.
Yeah, no, I think they seem totally open to it.
And we brought that up because there was a lot of public comment, like your perspective about surveillance and kinds of things that might come from that. And so we went in very cautiously. So that's one of the things we suggested as a result.
Any other questions?
You answered a lot, painted good picture for me.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Well, this will give you, if you read through it, this will give you a lot more, and then you can get a hold of us, one of us, and we'll provide you with more information if you need, answer your questions.
So maybe next month we can revisit your proposal after Councilmember Murray has a chance to introduce it to council.
Let's do
Is
that.
that the ask that I'm taking that back to council?
Yeah.
We just summarize, just taking notes, but I guess we summarize again, I want to make sure that I'm conveying the proposal as presented. So could you just summarize that?
We would, the DEIC would form a subcommittee of its membership made up of commissioners to go to the scheduled regular meetings. I don't know if we call it oversight.
Or maybe figure out some kind of a schedule to go in and at least have a conversation.
Yeah, arrange with Chief Cobb, Commander King, for the meetings that they're very open to scheduling. And maybe we would ask council, or I don't know how we would come up with the checklist, but we would flesh out a checklist, maybe that we could do something like that next week.
Some standard questions that we would want to answer.
Yeah. And make that a regular part of our meetings here. So that information can get out publicly. I know that the transparency of this is a really important aspect of the issues, dealing with the issues that the community is bringing up about the system. And we're concerned. As a commission.
Transparency gap that community members have requested and that the police commanders and chief are on board with. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think another reason why this is a good idea and coming from the commission is we already have a relationship with the police department.
But we also represent, people in the city who are understandably concerned about it.
Yes. we done talking about this? Any other questions?
I just had a quick follow-up, just because I don't know what information you guys have received. I think forward progress, this might come up as part of the conversation. We had obviously public testimony.
Yeah.
Given a chance to watch that. Then we also received a lot of public comments in writing. Are those things that you guys have seen?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's in the public comments.
Yeah, so I was gonna say what you said.
Yeah.
I mean, I just know that from everything that's, you know, the public comments at the meeting, and then it doesn't surprise me, there's been a lot more concerns.
So yeah, I'm trying to ensure that you guys have some sort of mechanism.
Yeah.
Understanding what we are hearing from the community.
And we could build our checklist off of a lot of the comments, you know, if they're usable as something that we could.
Drill into some common questions.
Yeah.
Service.
I'll make sure that they get copies, yeah, and then,
And no other questions? We have event planning.
yes. Okay, so, I wasn't quite following the video and the notes on this, so I wanna make sure I have this right. Are we moving forward with the filming of this Sugarcane film?
Well, Corinne was kind of working on that, so
Okay.
we're gonna decide.
Corinne and I finally watched it.
Oh, you did?
Documentary, yes. We were accountable buddies, so we watched it.
Fair, you reminded me, so I didn't help you at all.
You did, because you actually did it, so then I had to too. No, so I think we do want to partner with the library. I think that it would be great if it coincided with Every Child Matters Day. I reached out to Jen Herman and we have a time scheduled tomorrow to chat about having support and buy-in from the Native American Heritage community group that she is co-sponsor of, because I don't think that we should show it on our own without a partnership beyond the library. I got some input from one of the board members of the urban Native American Heritage group that meets at Daybreak. And they said if you're partnering with the organization, then that's great. And if you're just trying to show it, then that isn't necessarily what you're trying to go for.
Yeah.
It sends a different message. And that would also help us with the content of being more of adult themes and having an alternate activity for people who either need a break or for younger audience members.
Are you guys familiar with the documentary? It's called Sugarcane. It's been on Hulu.
Yes.
And it's a documentary about the church schools that took children out of Indigenous families and tried to change their course in not good ways. And the abuse that happened there, and it's a pretty disturbing documentary, but especially since, the documentary takes place in, I think Alberta, or maybe it's British Columbia, but we had those schools here in the state too, up until like 1981. And so, it's a really important documentary, so if you have a chance to watch it.
Okay, so
I will follow up with you once I talk to Jen tomorrow.
great, and I was gonna mention that I started looking at a proclamation for Every Child Matters, and I think it would be helpful if they helped write it.
Yes, agreed.
Because most of although we do, it's more of a Canadian proclamation. I think it's fine to adapt it because of all the similarities, but I think it would be helpful to have their input on the proclamation. So, I can send you some links that I found, but
That'd be great.
I'm sure Jen's an expert in that, so. Thank you so much for that. And, well, next month we'll have to decide on the proclamation.
Yes.
You want the event to be in September?
Either the very end of September or early October.
Okay.
Because every Child Veterans Day is September 30th.
Okay, great.
And then the ending boarding schools, residential school, Day of Remembrance is October 1st.
Okay. Great. Then we have, the parade is this Friday, and we talked about doing positive themes. Signs at the Terrace are a whole bunch.
We did.
Look at. They're not sort of It's positive, so you can thumb through them if you want. Right. And
Scott and I actually found a T-shirt that has the kindness, equality, inclusion, and it's got a tree, almost exactly like what is on our bags.
oh,
Yeah.
So Scott and I got the shirts.
Oh.
yeah.
Oh.
You know, we have this, you know, the consultant who did our DEIC training last year, she also just did another training for our leadership team. And she always calls people humans, and I love that.
yeah.
Because it's like so,
It just is everybody.
yeah.
Great.
I'm trying to my granddaughter.
Those are awesome.
Great.
That's really awesome.
I'm currently working in Canada's like.
You think you designed these?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
wow.
really awesome.
Apparently, they're so talented.
Really?
No, it's Canada.
Somebody has to look at the inspiration. Don't you?
Yeah.
It's so pretty.
So, and I can buy some candy, and then, so we're gonna meet at 5:45 in the plaza, so we have, Snohomish County, Linwood, Shoreline, and the library, and Mukilteo joining us, so.
Yeah.
12 to 20 people, depending if they bring like
Nice.
friends or partners,
Good.
so. So we can bring our little wagon with the candy, and we'll have our banner.
Okay.
So feel free to come and bring your families if you want, or your dog, and if you have a fun shirt that you wanna wear.
I started with my granddaughter.
Sure, you know, where you're at, what the parade lineup is, like where in the, I know. it was
I
kind of-
think we are right behind council.
Oh,
That
great.
was what Andrew was trying to,
That's great.
I was gonna say,
but you can take your sign in, are you gonna come?
I think so.
We can get you, just take a sign up to me, and then you can take one.
Yeah, nice.
If you ever want candy, you can throw one at you.
I mean, it would make that part of the parade much more interesting to the folks watching.
Just don't drive the cars too fast. Right.
I mean, the other thing is we could hand out crayons.
There's a lot of kids. We
Yeah,
should.
there are a lot of kids.
We can-
One of my granddaughters said, "Don't run out of candy before you get to us this time."
It's always hard to pace it.
Yes.
Okay. National Night Out. Go ahead.
How big is the parade? Is it about the same number of?
I don't know, we're not running it,
Oh, that's right.
I mean, we never did run it.
Oh, but it's different.
But it's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
CPR sanctioned, so it'll probably
It's-
still have the pirates and
Yeah,
Okay.
all that stuff, I would think, but.
so, all right, National Night Out, we haven't had a chance to talk about this one yet,
Someone had a question about the roof.
He did.
oh, yeah, go ahead. Are we having
I
one?
was wondering if we have, because someone mentioned it about half hour ago.
Yeah.
It was great, the engagement was really impressive, it was more than I thought, you know what I mean, right? We talked to a lot of people.
That's really great, tabling is great.
Yeah, so I wanted just to ask what you wanted to do, so I can help you get ready for that. Certainly we can have a poster about welcoming week, if you're gonna do your film and we know anything about that, we could advertise it, but it sounds like
I don't think
we'd still be planning. We can also encourage people to talk to us about having a future community conversation.
Do we have a flyer that just talks about what community conversations are and
Yeah.
how to engage with
I
us
can
on that?
update one, yeah.
Yeah, that, because if
Do
we
you
had
both
something
know
like
what community conversations are? So we launched, so as part of our diversity, equity, and inclusion strategic plan, we were trying to do public outreach. And it just seemed like anytime you said diversity, equity, and inclusion, even before this year, it was hard to get people to come to a meeting to talk about it. Because it's kind of broad. And then the people that we really wanted to speak to, like people of color, people with low-income communities, or some other protected group, we don't have a relationship with most of those folks. And so we were trying to work with partners to meet with people in their world and go to them and have a conversation, or have them come here and have a conversation, just to build relationship, to understand like what we do, what their concerns are, what their life is like here in Mountlake Terrace. And if it came out in the meeting that there was a concern they had, great, we could talk about it. And if not, then it's just, we've improved our relationship enough to maybe in the future have another conversation that's a little more deep. And so that's what we're trying to do, is find, it could be a spiritual organization, it could be a nonprofit group that has a link to a certain community. We did a meeting with members of the mosque down the street, and we had 40 members from Mountlake Terrace come to City Hall for a meeting. That was our probably most successful one. I don't know, we also had a successful one where we partnered with the health district and we did a bilingual Spanish meeting, and that was the most Spanish speakers we've had come to a meeting. So we had interpretation, and all our materials were translated, and so that was really good. So anyway, we're trying to do more of those. We just did about 4 of them over the winter, and it takes a long time to grow relationships, and we want to build those relationships. One, so people will come speak to city council when there's an issue, or come to a community meeting about a planning project, or we know how to reach them if there's going to be a capital improvement project in their neighborhood. We'll be like, oh, I know so-and-so lives in that neighborhood and they could probably help round up some folks from the neighborhood to come to this meeting. So
did we have some people who applied for commissions because they had gone to community conversations?
We did, at least 3, and it wasn't a question that we were asking, so it may have been more, but I will say we had at least 3 people identify as part of our conversation. But that was kind of how they had come to raise their hand to apply for commission opportunities, which I thought was just I think a really good example of creating relationships that then, develop over time. So yeah, we felt very proud of it.
Well, I'd be more than happy to apply for, making an announcement in the morning announcements at my school once the year starts up again, to tell people, or I could personally reach out to some of the specific clubs like TSA, or the Asian Student Union, the Black Student Union, the Latino Student Union.
yeah, we can certainly talk.
That's been on our wish list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've met with
To try to get student groups to.
we've met with some of the student groups, and they were very excited, and then it just didn't happen.
And then tests and finals and graduation.
It's about,
Yeah.
it's about timing, isn't it?
Yeah, graduate.
Well, at the beginning of the school year, people are just like, oh, I hate being back here.
Well, maybe we can plan one for early in the school year.
Yeah,
You know.
that might be
And I have a lot of connections from bands, and just like everyone can
Cool.
go in, so if I can't personally reach out, I'm sure I know someone who can.
Yeah,
That's what we want to hear. All right, so anything else that you want to do at the booth? Like anything else you want to share, do an activity?
Well, I think the coloring station is always popular.
Is there a question you want to ask?
Oh, you mean like when we had the board?
Yeah, the boards are always a good idea.
And like on Juneteenth, the stormwater,
Yes.
there were boards on the other city table
Mhm.
with community input.
Yeah.
I don't want to detract from that.
Oh, I see, yeah.
I don't want people to.
We kind of, I don't know if it was modeling off of the things that we'd already done,
Yeah.
but it looked pretty familiar.
But we could have, I think it would be great to get folks to talk about the community conversation. And
Yes.
we could plan an open house one in the fall like we did earlier. The days are running thin now. So, or just try to connect with groups that we can.
Do like a sticker dot question, like have you attended an event besides this one in the past year? And just have like a dot, yes or no.
Yeah, and the other thing is we have that poster from community conversations about all the ways that we try to reach out to people, like our
Yes.
social media pages, the newsletter, And Sienna's really trying to get people to follow those things. So I was gonna have a poster coordinated with her that has like QR codes that lead to like our Facebook page, our LinkedIn page, you know, all the things. So that would be an activity you could help drive people to as well. So, yeah.
And then like you put a sticker, I like it as a sticker,
Yeah,
because
we
then
have,
kids will come and help. They're gonna, well, oh, how do we get a sticker?
yes,
You have to vote that you've done one of these, you follow one of these.
Yeah.
And I have stickers.
We have,
It's the same as the primary.
oh.
National Night Out is, I'm pretty sure it's the
No,
same
you're
as the primary, it's the first Tuesday of August.
We will-
Definitely, because I remember voting in the,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's something new.
And we will have swag, the MLT swag that we've had in the past. So. And I think Sienna's creating some kind of I love MLT stickers.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because Shoreline's bringing their heart stickers to the parade. I don't know if we'll have them in time for the parade, but all right, so posters with stickers, the community engagement options, like have they attended?
Or if they follow us. Follow.
Sounds good. Great, all right, and welcoming week. We have this save the date poster with all our partners so far. I think Sienna shared it on and on our website. Our page is up to date now, and we're still seeking partners to respond. RSVP is a Survey Monkey, so, and then I think this has all the people who have RSVP to date listed.
Oh,
So
nice.
you can see who's coming and who else you might want to reach out to again. We've had a couple interesting ones, like more active things that are really great, and I'm not sure how they're gonna pan out, but so the new Connection Wellbeing Community, is anyone familiar with them?
Mm-hmm.
They're a Latino organization in Edmonds, but whoever went to the church when we were trying to do the food bank community conversation, we had the interpreter show up there.
She was from that.
And she recommended this group to
She
me.
recommended it.
And then it turned out some of the people that our DEI consultant were trying to interview, they're like on the board here.
No.
And so it was like, all these people now, like we're getting connected.
Well, see, that was a community connection, even though it wasn't a successful wider
Yeah.
connection at that.
But the person, they were talking to us now, and they're like, and so I'm probably gonna go meet with them next week, but they also offered doing a circle, you know how when we had the DEI
Yes.
retreat and Marcella did a circle with us. They were thinking about doing one in Spanish at the festival, which we could do in the council chambers, but we're talking about whether like that's a good fit for the, not the festival, but welcoming week event. Or we should advertise it for the future and have people sign up at the welcoming week event and then have it a little later. So it's a very like introspective, you were there, right? Yeah, and so I'm not sure.
They did sage smoking.
Yeah, and by the way, welcoming week, sorry, Priya, and we keep just jumping forward. It is a nationwide week. There's an organization called Welcoming America, and it's about welcoming immigrants and refugees to our communities. And so last year was the first time we did an event here, and we did it at the school. Terrace Park, thank you.
Yep.
But this year we're gonna do it in the plaza here because the art show is happening at the library at the same time, so we thought it would be a good two-way traffic kind of a thing. And so it's a resource fair, but we're trying to provide some more activities for people as well that make it a little more engaging, especially for kids. So Andrew and I are working on getting a couple of food trucks. We have one possible prepackaged food vendor, but I still need to work with that person, make sure they meet all the requirements. And then we had interest from a calligraphy artist, Afghan calligraphy artist. But I think that he wanted to do like a pay for class at the event. And I thought, well, why don't you, I don't know, we're still working out what that would look like, but maybe he could offer some classes at the rec pavilion and demonstrate or show his work at the event and have people sign up. So, cause it's a little hard to get people to pay to do something. So
What about henna artists? Cause I know those are very popular.
that's a great idea. Do you know any?
No. I don't
yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
But if you could reach out to find some.
Yeah, we can. That's a good idea. Yeah, so, and then I think we have a couple of people who will have some other, even though they're going to be handing out information, at least 3 to 5 of them have offered some like activity things. So, yeah, and we can also think of something that we want to do that's more than a coloring exercise. So. Okay. All right. Anything else on the events before we move on? Okay. So I apologize for not getting this to you sooner, but we will talk about the diversity, equity, inclusion strategic plan again next month. And I just wanted to walk you through this document, and we don't probably have time to go through every item on here, but we can start. So for everyone's benefit, council allocated funding to the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Commission to develop a strategic plan a couple of years ago. We started the process in early 2024. We had a consultant who did, they did some outreach, interviewed all of our council members, interviewed commissioner. We had the retreat for the commission. Did you all get interviewed? I can't recall.
I don't think
I think it was just the retreat. It was just, and then
retreat, we had a lot of.
And then the executive leadership team, staff members were interviewed. We did a survey of all of the employees, asking them about DEI related questions. And then they reviewed internal documents like our purchasing policies, our personnel policies, and a couple other documents. And we were doing the outreach, which to the broader community. So the commission has had on the website for years a survey, and then we updated it last year a little bit, and we were trying to collect more responses through the website. And then we did the community conversations, and there's been a lot of interactions with different community groups over the years. But I would say the outreach needs to continue, and that the action plan for the strategic plan will be about a 2 to 3 year window, and we'll update the plan again in the future. But I do feel like there's more outreach we need to do, especially with communities of color who we haven't been reaching very well. So, but I think it's important to get it out there because there's a lot of work that we can do, and some of it's internal and some of it's externally facing. And so what I tried to do with this, and this is just the action plan part of the plan, is to break it into internal and external. And all of the categories are internal except for the last page, which, or not last page, but on page 11, that's where the external parts start. And that doesn't mean that like your work is only the external one. I think all like the commission work could be involved in a lot of different components. So I'll give you a highlight of the recommendations. So because the consultants went through the personnel policies, there were quite a few recommendations about how to improve those. And our new HR manager, Lauren, who's amazing, by the way, is in the process of working with a staff group to revise the policies. And so that's been awesome to have sort of a internal stakeholder group who's helping provide input on personnel policies. Our goal is to get them updated by the end of this year. And so the recommendations from the consultant were really to focus more on the Civil Rights Act and ADA Act and making sure that we have more modern language in there. By the way, our personnel policies were from 2011, very embarrassing. And the other, there was some language in there that employees really were frustrated by about like what to do when you have an issue with another employee, whether it's discrimination, harassment, or something else. So just updating that language. So it's not that, it was interpreted as the first step is that you try to resolve it with that person. And it wasn't necessarily like they had to be in that order. You could have skipped a step and gone to your supervisor, but just clarifying some of that language, making sure people understand they go to their supervisor or they can go to HR. You know, there's a lot of different options for folks. And then there was a whole section on training, and Lauren and I have actually been working on a training plan. So we now have one for 2025 for all city employees. So there's like very specific training that each department might have, but when we talk about like citywide training for diversity, equity, and inclusion, or the ADA and civil rights, or cultural competency, leadership skills, those kind of things, that's the training plan that we're talking about here. So there were recommendations from staff and even outside, you know, customers about like improving some customer service skills, or just ensuring that we're using inclusive language and things like that. Some more internal facing things, finding ways to address mental health issues at work. This is a very common theme. In fact, there's a session at the City Managers Conference this month about mental health and trauma at work related to our jobs. And so just we have some resources for our employee assistance plan, but there's other things that we could do as well. Improving recruiting and hiring to recruit a more diverse pool of candidates that better represent city demographics. That's one of the goals. Providing a better onboarding and training process. And those are the HR ones. For purchasing policies, the main recommendations from the consultant were to include some language about encouraging small businesses led by women and people of color, the WMBE, Women Minority Business Enterprise. And also, there were some recommendations to offer training to local businesses about like how to apply for a city contract, what the process looks like, you know, where to register, those kind of things. Yeah.
Just changes from the federal government and actually land.
The state has a lot of laws we still have to comply.
Okay.
So, yeah. So like the federal government, for example, got rid of environmental justice, but our own state has rules that we have to comply. So in staff leadership, so this is things our leadership team should be focused on. Maintaining a budget to fund diversity, equity, and inclusion work. So that's not only even separate from the commission, there's a similar goal for the commission later on, but so say we have the strategic plan, like this should be funded in the, the staff budget for DEI or for DEI training for staff, or say we're rolling out one of these recommendations and we need consultant support for that, make sure we can fund that to get it implemented. There were a lot of employee concerns about consistency and application of policies and procedures. So holding the leadership team should be holding our managers and supervisors accountable for being consistent in those ways. Providing inclusive leadership, sort of changing the culture of like the top makes all the decisions and encouraging staff work groups and decision making at the lowest level whenever possible. The leadership team goals. And then moving on to the commission, we have again the budget, maintaining a budget for the commission, for training events and so forth, whatever the work plan calls for. And then one of the recommendations was to establish an annual or biennial retreat to allow for realignment of our equity practices, the work plan, team dynamics, things like that. And I wondered how you all felt about that, whether it's worth having a separate time to get together once in a while. That's not just our standard 2-hour meeting.
I really enjoyed when we connected with the staff DEI.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good way to meet more people.
Yes.
Have those kind of casual conversations with each other.
Yeah. They have mentioned that as well. When are we going to get together with the commission again?
And not just for, I have to make a current comment, and not just for the free dinner.
Yeah.
So we're running a fee.
All right, so external recommendations. So this really just means when I say external that and there could be a better word, let me know if you think of one, but that it's externally facing. So things the community might feel if we make a change. So one recommendation was sharing information about city services and financial assistance with low-income households in multiple languages. So we are doing this, but it would be an audit of like, what are we doing and what could we do better? Following the community engagement plan strategies for conducting engagement activities with an equity lens and ensuring that people most impacted by decisions are invited to the process. Revising the city code to limit the term of service for all commissions to allow for more opportunities for community members to participate in leadership roles within the city and bring new ideas forward. That one's a contentious one, I believe, with the city council, but
we haven't officially talked about
yeah,
it
there's been one or two council members who brought it up, but it hasn't been the topic of conversation.
What are the ideas for revising?
I think they need to do we revise or don't.
Oh, I see.
Before the
Got it.
Because right now, there's not a term.
There's no term, that's right.
Got it.
For any position.
For any, for commissions or boards or the council.
Yeah. So councils don't typically have term limits that I've heard of. Do you know any?
It's interesting, at a city level, I don't know, a lot, I think county level folks, at least in Squamish County.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't.
Anyway, we could talk about that, but for commissions, like I know, for example, one of the previous cities I worked for, they could serve for 2 terms and then they had to step off. And they could go apply for a different commission, or they could like wait out a whole term and then reapply, but there was a break. And so it just offered other people in the community an opportunity to sit on that board or commission. So
we're getting a lot more interest in boards and
right.
commissions now, so.
So everybody's way of asking you to leave.
No.
No, but I did feel self-conscious to ask to stay. Not done yet, because there's so much interest, like,
Yeah.
it makes sense to have those conversations at the very least.
Yeah. Okay, So providing more opportunities to build community, improve trust, address community members' sense of safety, and increase intercultural communication. So we're doing that. Keep doing it. Help residents understand how to learn about and participate in community meetings and outreach events. We're making some progress on that between the work that you've all been doing, the MLT Community Academy, and more opportunities for, task forces and so forth. Inform residents about how they can share feedback with city staff or elected officials. Again, we're starting to get information out there, but just keep going on those efforts.
Whenever you see anything on Facebook, we should all be excited. Make a public comment. The city meetings are open.
Yeah.
They may be Facebook, but that's not public record.
Yeah. Nor is next door.
Yeah. Any of the other places.
Yeah. Or
Social
wherever.
media is not the platform to.
Ring door,
Make all restrooms gender neutral in all city buildings. So we did make all of the internally facing restrooms here gender neutral recently. There's been discussion about what that would look like for other restrooms. And I think some of that would require some capital investment and some requires conversation with people to make sure that they understand what that feels like. So it's definitely there's strong momentum within staff to make that happen. And definitely a lot of other organizations have made that change. Interestingly, I went to an event for the Cascade Bike Club at the Sheridan Hotel downtown. Been there multiple times and I know exactly where the restrooms are, and I ran in to change out of my bike clothes and turned right like I thought I would always do, and I was like, oh, they're gender neutral now. And then I was in there and I was, I'm decent, of course, because there's stalls, and a man walked in, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, it says gender neutral. I'm like, yeah, it's gender neutral. But it was kind of funny because it was like an older crowd, and it was just like very new for everyone.
Yeah. At the ballroom level?
It was like, the ballroom level.
Wow.
And they didn't make a change. But their doors are really long. Some restrooms are shorter and you want to make the doors longer. But you go to like PCC or something and the door, they're just like completely closed rooms.
Yes.
But I don't think that's always the case.
That's how our new school buildings are being made too, where it's the stalls are behind a door and then the sink space is communal.
Yeah.
And it cuts down on a lot of the shenanigans that elementary school kids do. Because they play in the closet, you can see it, it's right in the hallway.
On that, if this did end up happening, like all city buildings have gender neutral bathrooms, I think we would need to figure out a way to like at least partially monitor them, not like cameras or anything, but I know at my school when we implemented gender neutral bathrooms in just like the offshoot hallways that only very specific students go to, like in the band hallway, it's only music students that go in there. We still faced a lot of like vandalism, specifically of the signs saying gender neutral. Like I remember talking to one of the not counselors, it was janitor. There you go. I remember talking to one of the janitors who was mainly dealing with that wing of the school, and he was just constantly complaining about how every single day he would have to replace the signs because kids kept taking them down. And like I remember at one point someone ripped the sign which was nailed into the wall and using a Sharpie to draw like the usual man and woman and got it wrong. They wrote the man sign, the one that was originally the woman's bathroom. It was a whole issue. And because of how much vandalism there was, the school gave up and just took out the gender neutral bathrooms in the always like after putting in security cameras to try and figure out who was doing it, they still couldn't get anyone.
Yeah.
Or if they did, they didn't really punish them properly.
Yeah.
So the only gender neutral bathrooms in the school currently are the two right next to the cafeteria, because there are always teachers right there watching people go in and out.
And Woodway has had trouble on campus in buildings where they've made gender neutral bathrooms and people don't feel safe. So it's definitely something you have to make conversations around.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not an easy thing in some of our buildings, you know, like the rec pavilion, very challenging. Police department, very challenging. Maintenance workers.
Don't get me wrong, I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I just think we need to be vigilant on keeping the vandalism to a low, to like the regular bathroom level instead of the hate crime level.
Yes, exactly. No, I hear you. Yes, and there were very strong opinions about what the sign should look like as well. So recruit more bilingual staff, particularly in customer service roles, and offer pay incentive for those skills upon passing the qualifying exam. So the police department already does this, but we don't have the same policies in the rest of the city. So I think we have a good example to go on. We do currently use services, like there's a phone number we can call, and we can like conference in someone from whatever language essentially our customer needs, and they can help interpret, which we use a lot, especially in passports. But having more bilingual staff will help, at least with the primary languages that are spoken here, that would help. Evaluate new and proposed policy and programmatic decisions to determine if there are potential negative implications of those decisions on community members, in particular those with low income or from a protected class. So this kind of goes back to, you know, this is what you would look at as far as creating anti-racist policies, making sure that there aren't unintended consequences to policies. You know, we all, I would like to think that we all strive to have good intent, but sometimes we're not thinking about the whole picture. So how do we get more eyes on that process to think about who is impacted by the decisions we're about to make? And so there's one goal in here that's about new proposals, and then there's another goal about how do we review decisions we've already made and see like how those are working and who's being negatively impacted by them. So that's hard work. And so we proposed creating a kind of a procedure first, and then giving ourselves time to do the analysis. Improve the physical accessibility for disabled folks in our community, in our active transportation system. So that is sidewalks, crosswalks, bike lanes, those sort of things. We have an ADA transition plan for sidewalks, which is a legal requirement, where we prioritize which facilities we're going to fix first. It has not been funded very well, so we are behind, I would say, in that. So creating some more accountability in that would be good. Evaluating ways to improve other services for disabled folks who are neurodiverse, deaf, and blind. So we do have some systems in place to help people with hearing and vision disabilities. We could do better, especially for folks who are trying to visit our facilities. It's one thing for a meeting, and it's another thing to provide a service. And then we really have not spent much time figuring out how to address various neurodiverse kinds of symptoms and like what we need to do, like with presentations or noise or light or different kinds of environments that people need. So.
I just have a quick point on here, just as far as language goes.
Yes.
from my perspective and my history, hearing impaired is actually a term that most people shy away from
Okay.
anymore.
Thank you.
So instead, deaf, you can write deaf / hard of hearing.
Okay.
And then, for visually impaired, I think that can still be sometimes acceptable or seen, but also I think people tend to prefer blind / low vision.
Oh, that's great.
The impairment kind of implies,
Yeah.
less than, so.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to write sign language in here. Yes, any language things you pick up on, please correct me. Things change pretty fast sometimes. Right, provide more affordable housing. I thought I wrote something about that. Maybe there's a repeat. Interesting. I wrote a lot about that. I don't know where it went. Anyway, the city's doing quite a few things on affordable housing. And the question is there something we should do more of? Oh, I think I know where that is. It's a little bit further down. We've changed our zoning policies. We have an incentive for developers to take advantage of for providing housing for people who make 80% of the median income. And really, there's a limitation on how much cities can do other than to contribute funding towards low-income housing developments, which would be very difficult for a small city. But we do collaborate with a low-income housing nonprofit group in the county that does advocate for that work. The next one is about improving language access for people who don't speak English or don't speak English very well. And we've been making a lot of progress in that arena, but we still have more work to do. And actually one of the things we're working really hard on right now is complying with Title VI requirements, which there's a deadline by the end of the year to update our website, to make sure it's compliant. And we have some things we need to do in the community engagement realm to be more compliant as well. Partner with community organizations to offer training on how to apply for a city job or city contract. So co-creating a training program with some of our partners, like there's several partners in the area that are Latino run, that have great membership or community contacts, that would be a great place to start. And there might be some others. There's been a lot of recommendations from this commission and others in the community about creating land acknowledgement for Indigenous people. And I think it's really important to first have a conversation with our community members who are Indigenous. We've started conversations with the group that Vanita mentioned earlier, Jen Herman and the Indigenous Parent Group at the school district. And when they've come to talk with us, it's interesting, one, that they represent tribes from all over the country. And so we can first acknowledge that like this land was inhabited by Salish people or whomever, but also that the people who live here today represent tribes from all around, which is also very interesting. And I also find that in my past experience working with tribes, a land acknowledgement is not good enough. And so we need to back it with action. So I think it's worth having conversations with tribal members, local tribal members, and the people who live here who are Indigenous people from around the country to understand what is meaningful. So kind of leaving it a little open and not just focused on land acknowledgement.
Do we have any strong connections with people from Montana? Because I know they have a really big Indigenous population and there are a lot of tribes there.
I don't know, but we have local tribes here, yeah, and that we haven't connected with as a city. But yes, there's There's a lot of tribes around the country, so.
Let's focus on the ones in this state.
Yeah.
We did used to read a land acknowledgement and labor acknowledgement in our commission meetings, and we decided to stop because it felt more performative than functional, impacting change.
Would it be helpful to have somebody here who knows about who lived on these lands?
We have some information about that from the state,
Okay,
but, yeah. So we can come back around to that. That's,
okay.
We just have to do it not in November.
yeah.
It almost feels like that's something you could tackle with like a plaque, maybe like in here, something just kind of acknowledging instead of like you're saying just performative, if you're saying it every single time, like just in an echo chamber to each other, you know?
Sorry, boss is texting. Okay, let's just run through these real quick because we're running out of time. Another idea was to host conversations out in the community about DEI topics. So that was a general idea. I think we're starting to do that, like with the film. That would be something very hard conversation, hard set of conversations to have. We're trying to do that with community conversations, but right now we're like at the introductory level. But there could be like a training, you know, like in Shoreline, several of the commissioners have, we've gone to anti-racism training offered by the People's Institute that we were invited to by other communities. And we could host something like that here for our community, not just for commissioners or council members or staff. So those are, I mean, that's like an extreme. There could be other topics in the middle that are middle ground as well. So add more cultural programs and ensure that we are collaborating with people who represent the groups that we're trying to celebrate at these events and programs, which I know this commission has been doing a good job of with Juneteenth and the AANHPI month. And I think that's in our values here, but helping other commissions and staff understand those values, I think would be something to look at going forward. There was a recommendation to provide more support services to unhoused people with social workers, local warming shelters, public housing, affordable housing, and subsidized transit passes. These were several comments kind of combined in one, but a lot of people did focus on unhoused people. And so I listed in the action plan some of the steps that we are doing. And I think it's really a conversation to be had with city council about like what other actions that they'd like to take. Again, this usually requires a significant amount of money. So it's a reason that we're doing things, but we do them in partnership. We try to find affordable and efficient ways to do it. But there are some bigger cities out there, cities with more funding that have, you know, grant programs for nonprofits. They provide money to housing organizations. They set up shelters, which our library does during the day. But Sylvan County just doesn't have a lot of those resources compared to King County. Yeah. And then the last one, evaluate new programs at the recreation pavilion that meet the needs of our culturally diverse community. So I know that was a lot, but I just take this home and maybe think about it before the next meeting. You can always email me ideas or suggestions or questions in between, but it'd be great to get your feedback on this before the next meeting or at the next meeting. And then I'll have the whole plan ready for you and send it out before the next meeting, but the rest of the plan is basically the background information and the purpose and so forth. This is sort of the meat of it. So. Thanks for letting me talk at you. Then just real quickly on the community engagement plan that you had a presentation on last meeting, and some of you have responded and gave me a few comments, so thank you for that. We decided to pull that out of the appendix of the DEI strategic plan because it is like an internal document that staff want to implement, and so not that it doesn't really, we can still reference it or refer to it, but, and I appreciate all your comments on it because it did start with the diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. So there's a desire, as Councilmember Murray said earlier, to bring it to council sooner so we can start implementation, in particular, of the community ambassadors program. And so I wanted to make sure that you all had a chance to like look at that. We talked about that being a committee, a subcommittee of this group, and supporting the work that you do in outreach, and that we would be recruiting. We'd have an open recruitment, but certainly we'd want to make sure people who applied for commission and weren't appointed to be included in that outreach, as well as people who attended MLT Community Academy, and there's been like a handful of folks who've come to our meetings in the past who expressed some interest in helping. So just wanted to open it up to see if there are any questions, thoughts, concerns. No, you're thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm sorry, my mind is not working as well.
And when I said my comments, I think it would be great. Chris will say no.
What?
My husband will say no. We did this at the university and he learned a lot. He really enjoyed it, but I don't think he'll.
Yeah, that's okay.
He's not an outside person.
You do more than enough for your family.
No, okay, I've got my thoughts together now.
Yeah.
The ambassador program is really important, I think, to our mission as a commission. To be able to get the word out, to be in touch with people, to include people, to make sure that that they have the information that they seek in regard to city services, and so I'm looking forward to the ambassador program.
Well, and I think having ambassadors from those communities also helps them trust the information better and
gets it out quicker.
Yeah,
I mean, it's what we were looking for with CPAG, was getting as much outreach as possible into the planning for the city for the next 20 years.
One of our points was like figuring out who to connect with.
Yes.
And just a reminder that we had two different proposals in the engagement plan. One was called Community Ambassador and one was called Community Trusted Liaison.
the trusted liaison.
The trusted liaison are the people who we would pay a stipend to, who would be bilingual and a strong community leader. Yeah, we're not ready to launch that yet. So we'd start with the ambassadors who would be volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
They could very well be those people, but right now they'd be interested community members who are willing to do engagement work. So.
The idea.
And we could have a standing item on our agenda for, I mean, we already have events on the agenda, so just being a little more explicit about their role in that, and they could listen in to that part of the meeting. So we don't need to have a separate meeting, but we'd have separate training to provide them for speaking points to prep them for that kind of thing. So,
okay.
Great.
Are we on to reports?
Yes.
All right. I attended the Mountlake Terrace. It was a city council meeting for the Mountlake Terrace proclamation for people with disabilities.
Yes.
It was a council meeting on July 16th. On the 7th, meeting with Commander King and Chief Ka regarding flock systems. And June 19th, Linwood Freedom Festival. It was fun.
And I attended the meeting with the chief and commander, our chief cod, Commander King. That's pretty much what I did. And just, my granddaughter is due sometime in the next 3 weeks. So I am planning on participating in as many things as I can, but that may interrupt some of that, so. Just,
Congratulations.
thanks.
I also attended the meeting with the chief con, I think.
Couple school board meetings and helped onboard Support 7, the South County Fire Department's chaplain arm, a volunteer organization with the Red Cross. So we're going to be partnering more effectively in the future, especially when there's a kind of weather in the middle of the night calls. 4th of July was really busy. I went to Stanley twice for dad calls because there's a big fire there. And there's a logic and accuracy test at the Snohomish County Auditor's Office yesterday ahead of the primary. So there's some opportunities to attend testing, basically to make an audit of the primary elections that's coming up on August 5th, so please vote. And there's CERT training, the Community Emergency Response Team, South County Fire is putting on October 10th to October 12th. Councilmember Marie and I went to that last September. It was wonderful. And one of our, I think Commander King is a point person now who was going to that training, and I missed out on the instructor I thought I was signed up for. And they didn't know I was coming, so I didn't stay. And then the school district has their resource fair on August 14th, and I think we decided that we had too much going on this summer. So I don't think we're going to that, right?
We didn't sign up.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cross out.
All right.
Thank you.
And commissioners, it's Peterson, right? Peterson. Okay, it's Peterson and Nate Bolden. If you want to, in the future, I mean, you can talk about what you did to support the commission work or something related to diversity, equity, and inclusion that you were working on or read about or attended the training. Those are all kinds of things that we talk about in the reports. So.
And Kermit and I both watched Sugar King.
We did our homework. We did our homework.
Absolutely.
We put it on for a while.
Okay. All right. And I think I'm good. I don't have any reports. So any new business?
No new business. Any things for the record? All right. With no new business, we will adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you very much and welcome again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're back on the West African tour.